Hello, everybody. Hi, and welcome to this month's LinkedIn Lovin', where we're shining a light on the world's leading B2B social media platform, which of course is LinkedIn. Now, actually, today we're talking AI. Can't get away from AI, can't we? It's everywhere, including in LinkedIn. And, LinkedIn is actually encouraging us to rewrite our posts, rewrite our profiles in AI. And it's also asking us to contribute to AI generated collaborative articles. So the question for me today is, because AI is on LinkedIn, just because we can, does it mean we actually should? Should we be using AI on LinkedIn? Which is what Nigel Greenwood and I are talking about today. So hi, Nigel, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Hi, Judy. Hi, everybody. I do need to point out that I may not be Nigel. I may well be an AI-generated hologram that has had all Nigel's knowledge and experience downloaded, although apparently that took less than a second. So that probably says more about Nigel than the hologram.
Oh my goodness me, yes, indeed. That will be that is a very scary thought, isn't it? Indeed. So for those of you who don't know Nigel, hologram or not, let me just introduce him. Nigel is a customer experience expert and has years of experience working with companies, helping them to improve their customers' experience, their customer and journeys to drive more sales for their organization. And now what Nigel has done is he's used this expertise to actually set up Bubble, which is an intelligent business advice software that provides tailored advice for startups and growing businesses. And the reason that Nigel is so, getting to grips with AI and understands it so much is because he's currently working with the University of Bradford to incorporate AI into Bubble. So we're going to hear firsthand about his experiences of AI, how it's working, where it can be used, and importantly, AI on LinkedIn. Because just because we can, does it mean we should be using AI on LinkedIn? So just quickly before we start though, just if you're new to these Lovins and wondering what the heck they are, they're just short, bite-sized LinkedIn learnings over lunch. And each month I'm joined by a guest expert who shares their expertise on their subjects to help support your LinkedIn activities and results. So I do like to make these Lovins as interactive as possible. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments box and Nigel and I will get to them either through the session or afterwards. I'm thinking that this session is going to be really interesting. People could have a number of opinions. So I would like to get everybody's thoughts on this. That'd be fantastic. So anyway, enough of me waffling. Let's get started and hand over to Nigel. So Nigel, just tell us a little bit more about what your experience of AI is today and how companies are using it and how you're using it for Bubble, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of the customer experience bit, what we're seeing more and more are companies using AI for to try and improve or make more effective the customer journey, and for the likes of chatbots and trying to create conversations. And I've experienced a lot of these, and they're really boring. So where they're trying to create a conversation with you, and a chatbot is typically you're asking a question, it will interpret it, and it will try and deliver an answer from material it already has within frequently asked questions. Now, the issue is a lot of customers will have already been on the website, been through the FAQs, tried to get an answer and can't. So they end up in this conversation with the chatbot, and you just go around in circles and you just get more frustrated. So it actually reduces customer satisfaction significantly. Yes. Some of the AI that people are using in the customer journeys in small instances will work really well, but it can't anticipate how a customer is feeling, what a customer's needs are exactly. So it tends to be a very bland experience. So there are obviously still limitations. I think it's going to get there, and the more people that use it, the quicker it will get there. But at the moment, it's a long way from where it needs to be. I would question the intelligence part of AI. I think it's very much more artificial at the moment. What we looked at with Bubble, and it does have an element of AI in at the moment. So there's a piece where we rate the recommendations that are given, and AI asks the people that use the software for how they felt and how about each recommendation. And our AI then picks that up and amends the scores, but that's the limitation. So what we've done is we've looked at every single element of the software, including how we create all the content, so the questions and responses. And I went to the university and said, okay, here are all the things that we need to do. These are the things that I'm heavily involved in that take me a lot of time and effort. Can we get AI to do what I do and therefore save me time, save me effort, but produce the same quality or a higher quality? And most of the things that we looked at, unless it's a fairly sort of mechanical thing that we're doing, AI can't do it at the moment. So as an example, on the software at the moment, somebody will see a question and a number of responses. They tick a response. Each response leads to a separate question. So it's like a whole series of decision trees. What I really want is for them to see a hologram of a subject matter expert asking a question. I want them to be able, and I want it to be spoken or written. I want it to be in any language, and I want it to be able to listen to the answer, work out what the next question should be to get to actually the heart of the matter, and then produce a recommendation. Wow. And we tried to do that and failed within a few hours because it's clear, and we've used different types of AI. It's just not that intuitive at the moment, but maybe in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we can't, AI is not going away, is it? I mean, it's here, and there are bound to be limitations at the moment, but we hear all the time about how AI is improving, and you know, all the sort of the fake news and the profiles, the pictures of people and stuff like that, and it looks so real, doesn't it? And that people actually believe it when it's actually fake. So I'm sure it's going to be very moving forward very fastly with some challenges going on as what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, definitely. And the bit that obviously we need to talk about most is AI and LinkedIn. And I've had some experience. I've looked at using AI to write posts. Yeah. And I think we've got some examples, haven't we, where some of mine have been rewritten, which we'll go through. That didn't work very well. I've used AI to research some topics, and it's good in sometimes if you're trying to think of content and you want to be posting on a regular basis. I think it's a useful tool for that. It doesn't really work for me because I post when I want to, and I post about things that I'm passionate about. So if I see something in the news, I'll just get on and write a post straight away. And I just sort of think off the top of my head. If I was planning lots and lots of content, then I think AI is useful for helping to do all of that. But I've seen AI generated posts. They're just bland and uninteresting. And they're all sort of samey. And I think we've also got an example of a conversation that I had that was AI generated. And I don't think you'll see it all, but I just started taking the mickey out of them.
You did, just to see what came back as a response. Yeah. I did see that, and it made me laugh, and we have got that example. And I think this actually, I did a poll last week just to see what people's opinions were, and it really did fall, I think, into the good, the bad, the ugly. And I was quite interested with the results because the poll itself was asking the question, would you or have you used AI to write your LinkedIn posts? And I was quite surprised with how many came back and said yes. And 29% of people said yes, they had used AI to write the post. But I actually think when we drill down into that, it's not them using AI to write the post, but it's what AI at the moment I think is really good for. That researching, the brainstorming, coming up with ideas, having a place to start. This is what all the people said they were using AI for. Inspiration, possible improvements. Somebody said to explore other points of view, which was really interesting. Also, for people with sort of dyslexia and things like that, they said it really helps them structure their ideas as well, and helps with blockages when the brain doesn't work. So there's some real positive benefits, isn't there, to AI at the moment?
Yeah,
both on and off LinkedIn.
There are, and it can be a really useful tool for the right people at the right time and in the right way. There are some drawbacks though. So one of the other things that I do as I work with the university is I've got involved in the MBA program. And when you look at an MBA dissertation, and I did mine a couple of years ago, and it took me weeks and weeks to do it. Yeah. We're now finding that as well as people copying other people's work, which they've always been able to check if something's been plagiarized, they're now finding that they've got dissertations that have been written with AI. Wow. But they're easy to spot because when you go down to the references, if it's been written with AI, you'll have a reference from a journal that exists, but it will quote an article that doesn't exist. So the AI seems to be taking content from a number of places, cramming it together, and essentially inventing an article. And then the other thing for me is when you think about all the rubbish that's out there, all the conspiracy theories, etc., all the stupid things that people have written, or well, I could go on and on about that, but it's taking all of that as well. So I think it's fine if you're using it for inspiration and to get other ideas, as long as you then check them out and getting other points of view, that so things maybe you've not thought of. But relying on AI to generate a whole article or a whole post and assuming that that content reflects you and your values and what you believe is just really dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because somebody did make a comment about that they said the issue with AI is that it uses information from the internet. So if it gets something wrong from one or several sources, you know, it's going to be, like you say, spreading that misinformation. Yeah. So we're not in a position, whether we'll ever be in a position to rely 100% on AI. And I think that's the ugly bit about AI, from what people looking at the responses from the poll that I had, you know, that it does make mistakes. You've got to be able to spot those mistakes. It's not foolproof. You need that human intervention. And somebody actually said on there that they have a policy, a company policy, not to feed their information into AI for improvement, because they don't know how then it will be shared by AI for other AI users. So I thought that was really interesting as well. You know, what is happening to that information that you feed into AI potentially? I don't know if you know of that at all.
No, I know there's so where we're looking at developing AI for some of the tasks that we're doing, we can create a closed area, so the AI will be restricted to looking at things that only we put in there. So that's a way to protect it. But the general, so the OpenAI and the ChatGPT, nobody knows where it's getting everything from, and you know who's posted what. And the bit for me as well is, why would you use AI to post on LinkedIn? Because, and in that, I mean, in terms of writing your posts and taking all of that away from you, because people buy people. And yes, it's a social media platform, but it's a people platform. Yeah. So I follow people, and I'll comment on posts and articles from people that I admire, that I respect, sometimes that I disagree with, although quite often they end up blocking me or I'll block them. But that's fine, because we've got different viewpoints. But you know, some of the things that I see posted, and the best example I can come up with at the minute is the Biscary. So the
yes.
Yeah, the two ladies that set out. So the values behind that they display all the time, you know, everything they're doing. Standout Socks is another one that
Yeah.
Those are people that you understand the person, you understand the values and what they're going through, what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. AI could never replicate that. So I'm attracted to posts and to connect with people that maybe have different views to me, but underlying that are similar values.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that's really
absolutely.
important.
It is important, and I think maybe this is a good opportunity to actually go in and have a look at those posts that we did for a laugh to see. I mean, because somebody made the point, why would you put a post in AI? That you write a post, put it into LinkedIn, and then get LinkedIn AI to rewrite it? It does seem a bit pointless, which I completely agree. And obviously, the bad of AI is that the content isn't authentic and it is bland and stands out a mile. So, but really, the Biscary, as you say, a perfect example. If they were to use AI to write their posts, it would just come up as so disconnected, wouldn't it? It just wouldn't feel. It's a feeling, isn't it, that you would get, I think. So I'm just going to go and share, see if I can present on here, because it was quite amusing. See if it works. It's coming up, isn't that wonderful? Lovely. So this is one of the posts that you did, Nigel, sharing about a really good news story about how neighbours have helped a vulnerable elderly lady. And this is Nigel's original post. Now, all I did was copy and paste this, going and put it into the option to rewrite your post with AI. And this is what it came up with. What a heartwarming story.
Yeah, and this, so there's a few things in this. One, obviously, you've got the American spelling.
You have indeed.
There's nothing of my personality in that rewrite. Whereas if you look at the one that I wrote, then, and people know sometimes I'll have a rant on LinkedIn. So I kick off with, sometimes I post on here about things that make me angry, especially about the way that some people or companies behave. But then you see where some people, you see the best side of people and companies, and what they did to help this lady. And I just think it's fabulous. And I've got loads of comments, and then I'm replying to each of the comments, and you're starting conversations. And it's not work related, it's not going to help me, but it helps people get to know me better and me to know other people better. Now, if I'd used the AI one, I don't think I'd have had many comments. And two, if I then used AI to generate replies to the comments, it would have been pretty much a cure for insomnia, I think.
It's really interesting because, again, the feedback that I got is that, it doesn't have the impact. We're hardwired to like stories and react to stories and things like that, rather than just kind of facts. And in looking at it, you might go, it's not that bad, but I think it just doesn't, for me, it's just a kind of, it's just a feeling that it doesn't sit, something doesn't sit right. I don't know if it's because if I know you, and I don't know if that makes a difference, but if you're engaging with somebody on LinkedIn, you might never have met them, but you'll understand what their style is and how they write. And I'll often write posts as if I'm talking, at the same, it's not, so I'll do a post as if I'm talking, as it were. And so I think if generated AI posts, then just turn it into something which is, as people said, it's beige, it's bland, it's off-brand, which I think is really important, isn't it? People, companies and businesses work hard to get that brand tone and things like that. So I thought that was a really interesting one. So we're going to have a look at this one now, Nigel. I don't know if you want to talk about this first and then I show you the AI bit, or...
Yeah, so one of the things that really amuses me on LinkedIn are the posts that, look how brilliant I am, look what I've achieved, look at this fantastic car that I've got, or this brilliant house that I've just got. We've got a 6-figure turnover. Well, 6-figure turnover could be 10,000 a year if you include the pennies. So, people that brag, I think the more people brag about what they've done, the less they've actually done, because the real people just get on and do it. And what this was my neighbour was a very successful business person, took early retirement a few years ago, sold the business, and he likes cars, and he's continually changing his cars, and he got this gorgeous brand new red Ferrari. So I said to him, right, can I take a picture of me with the Ferrari? And he sort of looked at me and he went, why? And I said, you'll see on LinkedIn. He said, that's great. And I structured the post so that the opening was, what a fantastic feeling when all your hard work pays off and you can start to live your dream. And then I left a space because all people saw was that line, and they had to scroll down to see it wasn't actually about me. It was about my neighbour and what he'd done. And got loads of comments. Interestingly, the day after, I went to a network meeting. There were about 100 people there, and I must have had 10 people come up to me and ask, "Did you come in the new car then?" No, you need to see that. So that to me was just a bit. So I like to use humour, and to say something like that and then getting people to read on is something that I will do quite often. I did a post last week which started off, "My wife is revolting."
I saw that. It was funny, that one, yeah.
And then I explained, actually, she's wonderful, but she's staging this revolution where if we have roast chicken on a Sunday, she wants mashed potato, not roast potato. And that kicks off a thing. Well, if you try and if you look at the way that AI rewrote this, you'll see it misses the whole point.
So let me bring that up. So this is how it rewrote it. What an inspiring story of perseverance and success. Again, spelling mistake. It just misses it, doesn't it? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it's missing the humour, and it's it's not understanding the spacing, so it's messing all of that up as well. So it's just missing the point by quite a long way.
Yeah, it does, isn't it? And it's like, let's all take a moment to celebrate the success of those around us. And also the other thing about AI, it does come up with these hashtags here as well. So it just any kind of hashtags, for me, I always say if you're using hashtags, it's got to be relevant to the content and your audience. And these are just kind of just pulled out. Oh, well, we'll put perseverance here because you've got the word there, success story, dream big. They're kind of very vague, kind of boring hashtags that I think don't actually do anything for your post at all.
Yeah.
And actually, let's talk about this chat box one next, because actually we've had a comment from Richard actually about HSBC chat boxes, which are interesting. He said we should go and use those. But let me just bring this one up first, so I can get my mouse in the right place. So this was the start of the conversation that you had with, we assume, a chat box.
Yeah, so I had I got a connection request, and I tend to just accept a connection request and see what happens. And as soon as I accepted it, this is what I got. So, in one way, it sounds interesting. They're planning to develop the UK market related to my field. So I just think, okay, what's my field then?
Yeah, and there's also no name. It just says hello.
Yeah.
So there's no hello Nigel, or no kind of hello Nigel, thanks for connecting. There's no conversation there, is it? They're straight hello, we're planning to do this. Yeah, that's what I kind of noticed about it. Quite dull. So you sent a response back.
Yeah. So to me, it's just, well, what field then? Because when you look, there's a number of is it customer experience? Is it software? What they're looking at. And if you notice, I sent that at 10:13.
Yeah.
And then the reply that I get was immediate.
But interestingly, on this second one, they actually put your name in. So it's an immediate response. So there's no way that anybody can, this is still in 1 minute, isn't it? It's still 10:13 a.m. And how has, this person managed to respond so quickly? But it doesn't even answer your question, does it? It doesn't even say anything on there about what you're looking to do. This is what Richard said about Rich said about customer service and what you were talking about with chatbots, because this is effectively what that is, isn't it? He says you should try HSBC for a chuckle and set aside half a day and be prepared to be sent in circles.
Yeah, Richard, I've been sent dizzy by so many. The HSBC one is interesting because I think I've got this right. So First Direct is part of the group, but First Direct is telephone based.
Yeah.
Or always was. And they're known as one of the top companies in the UK for customer experience because you can phone, get through to somebody in 20 seconds, and they can answer 96% of all queries. But how's a chatbot ever going to beat that?
Exactly. They're not going to. Like you said, it just takes you around in a circle. And Louise has pointed out, I think this was on the previous example, about the take a moment. Oh, I can't move my cursor up. Take a moment. Oh, she spotted that. I don't know where that is. But yeah, take a moment. And she's put that as take a moment as being very sickening.
Yeah.
And I think that demonstrates that at the point of AI, it just like, it's a bit pants, isn't it? So I think, ultimately AI is a good thing, but actually AI on LinkedIn, I don't understand how, if you need human interaction on LinkedIn, on AI, how LinkedIn using AI to write your LinkedIn post can actually work, because it doesn't understand you, or even worse, your profiles, I think, possibly worse.
Look, if you took it to its natural conclusion, if you're using AI to write your posts, an AI to write your profile, and thinking of LinkedIn as it's pretty similar to networking but online. So why wouldn't you then use AI to write everything you're going to say in a face-to-face network meeting? And you and I have seen instances where people have had, a minute or so to stand up in front of everybody and talk about the business, and they'll sit and read it from a pad.
Yes.
And it's not off the cuff, and it comes across as not so much fake, but it's sort of, it's not interesting. It's not grabbing anybody's attention. And I've even seen it where I know for a fact that somebody else in the business has written that script for them. And so it's just not them. And it's the people bit, isn't it? It always comes back to the people bit. There are people on LinkedIn where they will express views that I very much disagree with, but they will present them in a way where I feel I can make a comment and question or challenge them respectfully, and they will come back in the same way. We'll have a proper conversation, and we might typically will agree to disagree. There are other posts that I've seen and comments that I've seen that make me stop and think, and just go, well, actually, I hadn't considered that piece, and maybe I should. And then I might go off and look into something a bit more. And there's lots of people that I'll comment on their post, they comment on mine. We've never met in person, but we sort of know each other fairly well.
Exactly. And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because, for me, LinkedIn's the closest thing to face-to-face networking. So what you're posting and the comments is the conversations that you have, and you can really feel like you know someone without ever having met them. But if you're talking AI to AI, you're not going to get that sense of connection at all, are you? I think, just I'm kind of conscious that we're coming up to the hour here and things like that. And I'm sure there's lots more that we can say, but I think, there are some real positives to AI, and it's not going away. We definitely have to embrace it. And Chris here made a really good point as well about, how it's really good for, autistic artists and poets and things like that. So it definitely has its place, but we can't rely on it. And I'm sure it'll get better. I think we just don't know how things are going to change. But I think ultimately it will improve. But as you say, Nigel, I'll let you have the last word. You know, people buy from people.
Yeah, people buy from people. AI is a tool that can be really useful if you use it in the right way. And it has different uses for different people. So yeah, I absolutely get it. People with dyslexia, people with autism, it can be a really useful tool for them, which is fantastic. And there are things that are happening with AI out in the world, away from LinkedIn, that are absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
But I still come back to, on LinkedIn, it's bland, it's boring, it doesn't reflect your personality, it doesn't have a sense of humor. It's not going to get. So when I wrote the post about Mr. Bates versus the post office,
Yes.
I wrote that because I'd blitzed the 3 episodes, and I'd have to keep getting up, stopping the TV, going for a walk because I got so angry. And that's when I thought, right, I'm going to post about this because this is disgusting. Well, having that level of emotion, and I had to rewrite the post because I was probably going a bit too far in terms of how I felt sometimes. But when you get AI to write something like that, it doesn't put that passion across, it doesn't put the anger across. And that's the sort of thing that engages people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's the emotion. It's the storytelling. 100%. So AI on LinkedIn at the moment, a definite no-no. We need the human interaction for sure. So thank you so much, Nigel, for joining us today. It's been fantastic. I love hearing your insights there. It's been a real journey of education for me as well. If anybody's got any questions for Nigel, please pop them in the comments box or get in touch with Nigel. You can find him on LinkedIn. His LinkedIn profile URL is in the comments box. And also go check out Bubble as well, which is a fantastic tool. And I will say goodbye to everyone now. Thank you so much. And we'll see you at next month's Lovin. Bye for now.